keep in mind that things that stated in this video are not solid facts and are mainly the most consistent story that I've gathered so far. Recently, SoCal Anime hosted their first ever convention. However, it turned into a huge scandal that has enraged many vendors and even more guests. Now, this is nothing new, as surprisingly this happens frequently for first-time convention organizers. I want to know what you think. Now, I'm not trying to be the next hero high or being too nosy into matters that don't concern me. However, as someone who attends these types of events frequently, especially the ones that SoCal Anime hosts, this one definitely hits close to home, especially since I was about to actually take days off work to attend this convention. SoCal Anime hosted their first con on September the 16th through the 18th. This is the first time they've ever hosted anything this big. Usually they host small free events in venues that have a lot of foot traffic, which is great for vendors who need exposure, as customers will be coming in from SoCal Anime's media page, plus random walk-ins. From what I remember, SoCal Anime has been promoting this con somewhat frequently on their page for a while now, calling this their biggest project ever, which from a commoner's perspective like myself, this seemed like it was going to be the next big thing, something comparable to Anime Impulse or Animanga. This event was supposed to have a full schedule of things going on, which is typical for medium to big size conventions, as they want you to get your money's worth, but also spend as much time as you can at the convention in hopes that you'll spend all your money on merchandise and food. Ticket prices were $35 for one day and $70 for the weekend price. This doesn't include parking, which was $15. So far, nothing out of the ordinary. At this point, SoCal Anime has been seen in a neutrally good light by the majority of Southern California anime fans, though they aren't squeaky clean, as they do have a couple questionable, unconfirmed controversies that have in the past, such as having favoritism amongst vendors. Many claim that organizers consistently give their friends good spots compared to outsiders, who almost always get the bad spots. There's also claims of rigging cosplay competitions by giving the winner's prize to someone who is friends with the organizers, which is a huge no-no. If these claims are true, that is some pretty shady stuff. However, no one can confirm that these claims are facts, so it's hard to pin this down on the organizers. And let's just say these claims are true, these aren't the most vile things I've ever seen. In fact, I am certain that this happens at almost every small anime convention that is hosted out here in Southern California, and it just happens that SoCal Anime happened to get caught. Now that we know the background information, we could talk about the controversy itself. September 16th rolls by and it's the first day of SoCal Anime. People are coming in, and I remember wanting to go so badly, but I couldn't because of work. Not gonna lie guys, I was a little bummed out because I really wanted to meet Emily, but that day I really wanted to see what I was gonna miss out on. Maybe Emily was gonna perform something, or a cool guest was gonna show up. But when I looked at the schedule, poof, nada. Nothing was there, guys. That right there, guys, is already a bad sign. If a convention does not have a schedule at least one day prior to the event, you should already know that they're struggling and you're about to take an L. However, I could safely assume that the event wasn't very lively and people didn't complain because they figured that it was just an unlucky day and the weekend would be much better. So they thought. Saturday came and that's when reports of tumbleweed rolling across the con were spotted. Vultures roaming this dead con in search of easy prey, such as vendors ready to end it all. People starving because food prices were too high. Those are rookie numbers, Jimbo! And last but not least, people actually passing out due to overstress. All jokes aside guys, the convention was completely dead. Guests were mad. There was a lack of leadership as to what was going on. People were just leaving. It's just a whole mess. And Sunday was even worse because there was less people than before. And in order to make the convention seem more full, they gathered all the vendors together in one single spot, which that right there guys is probably one of the worst things that you could ever see as a guest at a convention. Now many people will claim that no one saw this coming and this was just an unfortunate event. However, apparently SoCal did know this was going to happen. According to the comments, the con knew they only sold 600 tickets in early September, and later they sold around 900 tickets. Personally, I don't even know if that's a lot of tickets or not, but according to the vendors, that's a really low number of tickets sold. But where did they go wrong? Well, let's talk about it. Strike 1. Advertisement. With this lack number of sales in early September, you would think that SoCal Anime would be busting their ass to promote this event. However, there was little to no advertisement done by their part, which is something I can't believe since it's Business Basics 101. Strike 2. Organizers leaving the event. According to a lot of vendors, the main organizers went MIA after all the drama. To make things worse, unfortunately, one of the members had a medical emergency and had to be taken to an ambulance, which unfortunately happened because he was overstressed. However, an organization is not run alone. There are still people out there who could have stepped up and put some type of leadership and some type of word to comfort all the vendors. And the fact that SoCal Anime as of right now has not made any public statement apologizing to the guests or vendors is very unprofessional and quite rude. Strike 3. Stopping the ticket purchases. I can understand why they stopped selling tickets, as they didn't want to bring more people into this mess. However, by doing this, they were only thinking about saving their own skin rather than thinking about the vendors, as the vendors still had to show up to sell to an underwhelming amount of guests. And with no possible way for them to gain new clients, you're purposely sabotaging their business. With that particular matter in consideration, I would definitely say that you should 100% refund them for that day at least. If you don't refund them for anything else, understandable I guess to some degree, but you really do have to refund them for that day especially. On the other side of the coin, to their defense. Now, I found a comment that's very infuriating to read, especially if you think about it from the vendor's perspective, but just try to listen to it as much as you can and with a clear state of mind. Some events are busy and some are not. This is the first year that they did a con and you guys all knew that going in. You knew there's going to be risks involved when signing up and paying for a booth at any event. As a business owner, you should know that you have to take the L sometimes. Stop bashing other hardworking businesses who wanted nothing more than to unite the anime community and host an event where you guys can sell your merch. I can understand your grievances, but be an adult and communicate with them directly instead of making hate posts. I'd hate to say this, but there is some truth to this statement. As shady as it is, no con will ever guarantee anything. It's up to a business owner to assess the situation and figure out what's the best investment for their business. Though SoCal Anime has a somewhat credible history amongst vendors, this is the first con they've ever hosted in such a grand scale. Look at it this way guys, SoCal Anime's success is because the events are local in Orange County, with many regulars returning and coming back. Admission is free, and best of all the venues have a lot of random foot traffic. You compare that to the convention's new environment and situations in which the location is far from the regulars in Orange County, admission is expensive, parking is no longer free, foot traffic is solely based on SoCal Anime's fan page and no longer randoms. This is a huge difference and a risk that a vendor should have realized. Another key thing that vendors should have realized, and not to talk down to SoCal Anime regulars, but these are not people that you could safely assume have a lot of money to throw out. Your main demographic are young teens and adults who live in Orange County who like to attend free events, in which the small ticket items are sold and on average spend less than $50 an event. $50 is almost the admission price to SoCal Anime. I'm not trying to shift the blame off SoCal Anime, but this outcome should have easily been on every vendor's radar. In addition, if SoCal truly just wanted to steal people's money, they wouldn't have taken so long to do so. From their long history, it seems they were generally trying to build a legit brand consistently enough to make a stable business. And from their business practices and from the events I've attended, they truly put effort into the events to make them as clean as professional as they can. It's hard to imagine that they had this pre-planned plan to just run off with the money as many claim. Overall, from my perspective, SoCal Anime bit off way more than they could chew. They were naive to believe they only had to promote the event through their Instagram page, and not realizing their main followers were unable to afford the event. Also, they underestimated the pressures of running a con and cracked under pressure, leaving the event and leaving everyone to fend for themselves. As of right now, they have not addressed the situation publicly, and that is quite disappointing. Not only has SoCal Anime made mistakes, but they've earned a reputation by not being transparent with everyone in the community before and after. I hope that the vendors could somehow recover from this. I'm not exactly rich, but I would like to support you if you were a vendor at this convention. Also, if you're going to be at Sugoi Saturday this Saturday, let me know so I can stop by and support. I just want to end the video by saying this. To new vendors or future vendors, be very careful on where you invest in. Do your homework and figure out if something is worth the risk. Also, have a backup plan in case your plan fails. I hope this video brings awareness that these things can happen. Don't rely on leaders to help you make money, as others are not thinking about you. They're most likely just thinking about themselves. Expect the bare minimum done in negotiations, because what you sign is what you get. No more, no less. Let me know down in the comments who you think is at fault here, and is SoCal Anime as evil as everyone's presenting them to be.